Hello everyone, I welcome you all to the course Radar Engineering. Myself Manjunath G, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of E&C, BITM Ballari. Today we are going to start the new module. The name of the module is the radar antenna. The topic for the today's discussion is radar antenna functions and its performance parameters. We are going to talk about radar antenna and their relative performance parameters. These are the contents for the today's presentation. First, we can have some brief introduction to the radar antennas, followed by functions of the radar antenna. We can also review some of the antenna parameters which are specifically important for the radar applications. At last, we will see the references. This is the block diagram of the radar system, the complete picture of the radar system. We have a transmitter, receiver, duplexer and the antenna. You can see here, this is highlighted part of the radar system where we are interested much on this block, and this is antenna for radar system. If the antenna is dead, no communication will take place. The design issues in this particular part is of our topic of interest. What are the different types of antennas that are suggested for radar applications, and what are the antenna parameters which really play an important role in the design of any radar system. Okay. We have some functions of the radar antenna. In brief, I have listed some of the very important functions. Okay. We all know that the antenna is basically a transducer, okay, which converts electrical signals into electromagnetic signals. That means it acts like a mediator or a transducer between the free space and the guided device. The guided device mainly is a transmission line, or it may be some other type of a guided device. It may be a waveguide, right, or it may be any kind of a guided device. So here I have focusedly mentioned the guided device as a transmission line. It acts as a transducer between the free space and the transmission line, where the wave will be properly guided through the guided device, through the transmission line. And very important function of the radar antenna is, during the transmission, it will concentrate the radiated energy in the direction of the target. Okay, we have a target, okay, to detect and to measure its characteristics. It is important to concentrate the energy in the direction of the target with the help of very high gain antennas, and it suppresses in the other directions. And this function, the role of the radar antenna during the transmission, is normally measured by what is called as the antenna gain. The antenna gain is usually the referred parameter of the antenna during the transmission. If the antenna gain is very high, means it will concentrate more energy in the particular direction. Okay, our direction of interest is towards the target. Okay, during the reception it will collect the echo energy which is scattered back to the radar from the target, and the target may be moving target or it may be stationary target. Irrespective whether the type of a target may be moving or stationary, the primary job of the radar antenna in the receiving mode is to collect whatever the echo signal that is going to be scattered back to the radar from the target. Okay, the amount of echo signal energy collected by the radar antenna is depends upon the value of the effective aperture of the radar antenna. Usually this role of the radar antenna is measured by the effective aperture. It is also one of the very important parameter of the antenna in the receiving mode. Okay, no doubt our radar antenna satisfies duality property, thereby the same antenna can be used for both transmission as well as for reception. Our antenna can be used as a transmitting antenna or receiving antenna. Okay, and it measures the angle of arrival of the received echo signal. With the help of this radar antenna, we can able to measure from which direction the echo signal is received. Thereby we can also locate the target in any of the plane, either in azimuth plane or in elevation plane or in both the planes. Okay, based upon the received echo, okay, in which direction the reception is maximum, with that identity we can able to calculate the location of the target as well in any of the plane. And we have seen in past few chapters that your radar system has some sophisticated filter. It will separate, okay, the desired targets and the undesired targets. Okay, the radar antenna is also acts as a spatial filter, okay, in the angle coordinates to separate targets in the spatial domain, in the angle domain, and it rejects undesired signals from the directions other than the main beam. Okay, nowadays people are using smart antennas, where smart antennas uses a very high gain antennas, okay, consist of number of array elements plus some signal processing unit. It will intelligently concentrates its energy in the desired direction and it dynamically suppresses in the other unwanted directions. Thereby I can say that the radar antenna acts as a spatial filter. It provides the desired volumetric coverage of the radar. Okay, so based upon some of the antenna parameters, with a proper selection we can achieve a very wider coverage for the radar operation. Okay, by increasing the gain of the antenna you can increase the range to the target, or by increasing the maximum dimension of the receiving antenna also will give us a very large coverage. And finally The radar antenna establishes the time between the radar observations of the target. Okay, it depends upon how much time the radar antenna takes during the scanning mode, how many rotations it will take per minute. So based on that, a sufficient time will be established between the radar observations of the target. So these are the functions of the radar antenna in brief. If I take the complete picture of the antenna types, okay, it's a tree of antennas where you can find a different varieties of antennas, the classification of the antenna. There are loops, there are dipoles, there are stubs, there are apertures, there are patches, there are folded dipoles, okay, there are arrays, there are V-type antennas, there are biconical, beverage antenna, rhombic antenna, okay, spiral antennas, reflectors, horn antennas. There are number of antennas, okay, but for our radar applications, which are the suitable antenna types? Okay, for radar applications, we require a very high gain antennas. To achieve a larger gain, we go for choosing this type of antennas, aperture types of antennas. Aperture type of antennas provides larger gain, also will be having very big aperture area through which maximum energy can be collected, and also we can concentrate much of the energy in the particular direction. So we are interested, okay, on aperture type antennas. As highlighted, these are some of the antenna categories which are really interested for radar applications. Okay, if I choose dipole antennas, in that we are not really taking a single dipole, we are going to construct an array of dipoles. Okay, as I have mentioned in the last slide, that aperture antennas are very important for our applications. So under aperture antennas there are several types: reflector antennas, a parabolic dish antenna, okay, or paraboloid reflectors, horn antennas. In that horn antenna corner, okay, horn antenna, paraboloid horn, rectangular horn, circular horn, there are different types of antennas. And radomes are also a topic of interest in the context of radars, okay, which covers the antenna surface, antenna structure. Okay, if any enemy signal which hits the radar or the antenna surface, where the signal is not going to be reflected back, it will absorb on the surface itself, and those surfaces are called as frequency selective surfaces. Okay, with the help of metamaterials we can able to achieve these kind of properties. Okay, so if I choose a patch antenna, it may be microstrip patch antenna, rectangular, circular, there are different types of geometries. Okay, in that we are interested in taking the array of patches. Okay, and even more further, we are also interested in taking lens type of a structure, lenses, where lens antenna is also a useful antenna to achieve larger gain. This is a very important topic for the today's discussion. I am going to have some antenna parameters in context to the radar. There are number of antenna parameters, okay, for a general antenna topic, but some important parameters are only considered, okay, with respect to radar operation. Usually we normally take directive gain, okay, beam area, beam width, power gain, radiation pattern, radiation efficiency, effective aperture area, and polarization, side lobe radiation, aperture efficiency. These are some of the terms we normally use or refer, okay, as an antenna parameters with respect to the radar design. Okay, we'll go one by one. Antenna gain. What is the significance of this parameter and how this parameter will influence us on the performance of the radar system? What is antenna gain? And usually when we refer any of the references for antenna parameters, here and there will be a misinterpretation in the terms directivity and gain. In some of the references, the directivity term is also referred by a gain. Okay, in some references there is a term called directive gain, power gain. What really the difference between directivity and gain? Okay, in general, if I take antenna parameter as antenna gain, and this will represent the measure of the ability of the antenna to concentrate energy in a particular direction. Okay, as an antenna designer, I want my radar antenna to focus energy or shaped beam in a particular direction with very much focus. I want a very narrow beam to be focused in the target direction so as to cover a larger distance. Okay, how to increase the range? The range to the target is directly proportional to the antenna gain. As I increase the value of G, I can able to reach the larger target because concentration is very large, so that you can able to reach the target and you can process whatever you desire. Okay, in general, antenna gain is a measure of ability of an antenna to concentrate energy in a particular direction. Okay, it is normally called as antenna gain. If I take antenna gain as a parameter, okay, that results into again two very important terminologies. One is directive gain and power gain, and this directive gain is usually referred as a directivity and the power gain is usually referred as simply gain. Okay, it is represented by GD and it is represented by just G. Okay, actually speaking, both directivity and gain, the terms represents the same, conveys same information. Okay, except some differences. Okay, here you can see I have differentiated between directivity and gain. Okay, both the terms represents the directional capabilities of the antenna. Okay, up to what extent your antenna can able to focus its main beam in a given direction. Okay, that represents the antenna gain. If you consider some losses, antenna losses, then we define gain. If you do not consider any antenna losses, then the directional capabilities of the antenna is termed as simply directivity. If you if the antenna losses are also considered along with the directional capabilities of the antenna, is simply gain. Okay, if the antenna is lossless, then directivity will be equals to gain. Example, if an antenna is isotropic in nature, if it radiates uniformly in all the directions, okay, and it will give a maximum value of 1, the directivity and gain both will be equals to 1 for isotropic antenna. And for all practical antennas, the directivity will be greater than the gain. Gain is the actual value of the directional capability of the antenna, and this directivity is the term just for descriptive. Okay, it is the realized quantity, it is the correct value, because we have considered antenna losses also into consideration. Okay, if you neglect the antenna losses and if you only expect the directional capabilities from the antenna, and it is directivity. For practical antennas, the D should be greater than G. As you can see here, the directivity and gain both are related by the antenna radiation efficiency, which is given by K. Okay. In Balani's textbook, the notation for radiation efficiency is K. From the JD Cross, the radiation efficiency notation is neta. Okay, it is just for a convention. Okay, if neta or K, when it is equals to 1, then G will be equals to D. That is for isotropic antenna. Here, at this junction, we are defining antenna terminology and their properties with respect to radar applications, where we require a large gain antenna or a high gain antenna. Okay, if the antenna radiates more energy in the particular direction, means okay, it is not isotropic in nature. The radiation is not isotropic in nature. It is usually a directive antenna. And any practical antenna you take, there will be some losses due to radiation or due to ohmic losses. We get a loss. Thereby, the gain value will reduce us. Okay, because neta will be less than 1 practically. If it is less than 1, then G will be less than D. Our radar system demands very high directive or high gain antennas. Okay, as you can see here, this circle represents the radiation intensity from a sphere. Here, if I assume the antenna, isotropic antenna, is placed at the center, then this is the radiation pattern. And compared to this, if I replace the isotropic antenna by a very high gain antenna, then it will concentrate more energy in the particular direction. Say for example, this is the direction of our interest, and your antenna is focusing more energy in this direction, and the beam is very narrow. Okay, compared to this radiation pattern, how directive this one is. Okay, with respect to isotropic antenna, how much power our practical antenna is radiating in particular direction, that describes the antenna gain. So this is the gain maximum. Okay, we'll discuss mathematically how to calculate directive gain and the power gain in the next session. What is directive gain or simply directivity? The directive gain of the transmitting antenna may be defined as the ratio maximum radiation intensity to the average radiation intensity. Okay, the maximum radiation intensity is from the practical antenna and the average radiation intensity is taken from the isotropic antenna. Just simply, how much power, maximum power radiated by your antenna divided by what is the average radiation intensity radiated by the isotropic antenna. And the isotropic antenna is the ideal hypothetical antenna which radiates uniformly in all the directions. We are taking that antenna as a reference. Compared to that, how much energy your antenna is focusing in the given direction. Okay, always D value for practical antenna will be greater than 1. If it is equals to 1 means the antenna is isotropic in nature. If there is some directional capability, okay, then it is not isotropic in nature. Okay, the D is equals to UM by U naught, where UM is maximum radiation intensity and U naught is average radiation intensity. What is radiation intensity? If you recall these terminologies from the course microwave and antennas. Okay, U of theta comma phi is the notation for radiation intensity. Okay, where it depends upon the spatial coordinates theta and phi, only depends upon the power radiated, how much power which is radiated by the antenna per unit solid angle is referred as radiation intensity. Okay, U of theta comma phi. The unit for radiation intensity is watts per steradian. Steradian is a solid angle. Okay, it's a unit of solid angle because our surrounding space is treated to be a sphere. The angle will be represented will be in terms of a solid angle. Solid angle will be expressed in terms of square degrees or in terms of steradians. Okay, now if I define directivity in the other way, there are number of definitions given for directivity. Okay, in terms of radiation intensity ratio, in terms of power density ratio, in terms of half power beam width, in terms of beam area, in terms of effective aperture. There are number of ways by which you can define the directivity. Okay, it is also defined as the radiation intensity of the antenna in a given direction over that of an isotropic source radiating same power. Okay, so U of theta comma phi, this is the maximum radiation intensity radiated by your antenna. Okay, if I take the average power radiated, okay, P radiated divided by 4 pi, okay, that will be the average power. Okay, actual power radiated by the antenna divided by average power radiated by the isotropic antenna. Okay, it is nothing but 4 pi U of theta comma phi divided by P radiated. Okay, it is not input power, it is the radiated power. Okay, in terms of power pattern, the directivity is represented like this: 4 pi P of theta comma phi maximum power pattern, okay, divided by, if I integrate over the sphere of 4 pi steradians, the power pattern P of theta comma phi, we get the total power. If I divide that by 4 pi, we get a average power. Okay, it is nothing but 4 pi divided by b. If I divide numerator and denominator by maximum value of p of theta comma phi, the p of theta comma phi maximum divided by p of theta comma phi maximum, we get 1. This term cancels out. In the numerator it will be remaining with 4 pi divided by, if I divide p of theta comma phi divided by p of theta comma phi maximum, and this value becomes normalized. Okay, the integral, the double integral of normalized power pattern over a solid angle of 4 pi steradian gives us the term called a beam area. This is the beam area represented in steradians. It is a solid angle actually, through which all of the power is radiated by the antenna. Okay, and approximately we can also write the directivity equation in terms of half power beam width. GD is approximately equals to 4 pi divided by theta b into phi b, where theta b and phi b are the half power beam width in two principal planes. In elevation plane, the half power beam width is measured theta b. In azimuthal plane, in the horizontal plane, the phi b is a measured half power beam width. Okay, as you can see here, the directivity is inversely proportional to the beam width, half power beam width. What is half power beam width? If you can see the radiation pattern, in that on the main lobe, okay, we are going to take the angular separation between the two identical points on the main lobe, where the power is half of the maximum value, and that angular separation between the two identical points on the main lobe where the power is half of the maximum value is normally referred as half power beam width, the beam width measured, okay, in terms of degrees or in terms of radians. Okay, this 4 pi in the numerator is usually refers 4 pi steradians, the area of the complete sphere, the full sphere, 4 pi steradians, that covers 4 pi steradians, equivalent 41253 square degrees. Okay, okay, where beam area is approximately written as theta, the product of theta and phi, okay, the half power beam width in theta plane and half power beam width in phi plane. The product of theta b and phi b is normally a beam area. Okay, sometimes for some antennas maybe approximately pi square by theta b phi b can be chosen, and this equation is derived assuming a Gaussian beam shape. If your antenna is radiating a Gaussian beam shape of a structure, if your antenna beam is as that of the Gaussian beam shape, then this approximation is merely suited. Okay, this value what we have considered here, it is not always true for all the types of antennas. The numerator value may be different for some type of antennas. This approximation is not true and holds good for all the types of antennas. Okay, some antennas may be 31,200, 30,000, 20,000. Based upon some applications, we choose particular type of antennas. For some antennas, this gain bandwidth beam width product will vary. It is not true always 41253. Okay, and this directive gain is depends on the radiation pattern of the antenna. Okay, how the shape of the radiation pattern, okay, what is the beam width, based on that your directive gain is depends, because we are not considering any losses, so it is not proportional to or inversely proportional to losses. Okay, so you can control the directivity value only by controlling the radiation pattern of the antenna, but your gain depends on the antenna radiation efficiency, K or neta. So radiation pattern is very important here to calculate the directivity, because in any of the equation you see the power pattern or field pattern will be given. For the given intensity pattern or a power pattern, one can able to find out what is the value of directivity, or if you know the beam width in both the planes, you can calculate the directivity. If a beam width is known in any one of the plane, just assume that the other value is also having the same value. You can approximate. If phi theta b is known and phi b is not known, then just assume that phi b equals to theta b and you can calculate, and that will give the approximate value of d. Next, power gain or simply gain. Okay, it will tells you about how efficiently the antenna converts the power which is applied at the input into radiated power. How much input power is converted into radiation. Okay, along with the directive properties. So this will be the significance of gain. It includes antenna dissipative losses, okay, but does not involve any system losses which arising due to impedance mismatch or polarization mismatch. Okay, if any losses are there due to polarization mismatch or due to impedance mismatch, okay, these losses are not really considered for the calculation of gain. Only losses are considered which arises due to the radiation and due to ohmic losses, that is particularly on dissipative losses. Okay, where G is simply given by, it is almost with the same expression. See here, 4 pi u of theta comma phi divided by this is P radiated. When you define G, this P radiated becomes P input. Okay, 4 pi u of theta comma phi divided by P input. How much power that is applied at the antenna input is converted into radiation. Okay, 4 pi into maximum power radiated per unit solid angle, that is u of theta comma phi, divided by net power accepted by the antenna. How much power that is accepted by the antenna. Okay, the equivalent definition of the gain is also given by maximum radiation intensity from the subjected antenna or practical antenna divided by radiation intensity from the lossless isotropic source with the same input power. Okay, we know that the relationship between the directivity and gain is equals to G equals to KD or neta D, where neta is the radiation intensity. Okay, if your P in or the amount of power accepted by the antenna is equals to the radiated power, then neta becomes equals to 1. Okay, it will never happen practically. The P radiated will be less than P in. Okay, so neta will be less than 1. In terms of percentage, it is less than 100%. Okay, What is radiation efficiency? Okay, it is a part of the gain term. Okay, the relative amounts of input power dissipated by the radiation and ohmic losses determines the radiation efficiency of the antenna. As I rightly said in the previous slide, okay, it tells you about how much input energy is converted into radiation. Okay, it is K or neta. It is the ratio of P radiated divided by P in. Okay, where input power is the sum of P radiated plus P ohmic due to radiation losses plus ohmic losses. Okay, this is your input power. Or in terms of radiation resistance and ohmic resistance, this is given by RR divided by RR plus R ohmic, and this RR plus R ohmic is the RA, where RA is the antenna input resistance and this RR is the radiation resistance. Okay, how much power actually converted into radiation will determine by this radiation resistance, and try to reduce the value of R ohmic. If this is equals to 0 means then your radiation efficiency reaches to 1. Okay, to make neta equals to 1, we should reduce the value of R ohmic. Thereby the input power whatever you apply, that will really convert that into radiation. The purpose of the antenna is radiation. Okay, the actual performance of the antenna is judged by how much power is radiated into the space. Okay, the applied energy has to radiate more by the antenna. If it happens, then the radiation efficiency closes to 100%. Effective aperture. This is very important parameter when we talk about radar systems, because the role of the radar antenna during receiving mode is characterized by this parameter, because through its mouth, okay, it will collect a maximum amount of energy, okay, returned by the target. Yes or no? Okay, for radar applications, to achieve long range detection, we require a very large apertures. Okay, this will in turn results into a very narrow beam width. Okay, because when you increase the value of AE, okay, effective aperture is represented by AE. If you increase the value of AE, okay, the range increases. As the range increases, that indicates the gain of the antenna also increases. If gain of the antenna increases, that in turn indicates there is a reduction in the antenna beam width. Okay, the gain and the antenna aperture are directly proportional to each other, and aperture or a gain of the antenna, okay, is inversely proportional to the beam width. Okay, if beam width is narrow, that means the antenna gain is very high, and if gain is high, the aperture area is very large. The relationship between the effective aperture area and the gain of the lossless antenna is expressed by this equation. The gain equals to 4 pi AE by lambda square. This is the relation. It is proportional to AE. Okay, the AE, the effective aperture, is not really the actual dimension of the antenna. Okay, here if I take the aperture area as AE and the physical area as A, Okay, this is a parabolic reflector antenna where the actual dimension or the physical dimension of the antenna is represented by A. Okay, in that some area, some part of the physical area is only effective where we have uniform distribution of the electric field, and that area is called AE. That is very effective in receiving mode. Okay, the relationship between effective aperture and the physical aperture is given by this relation. AE equals to rho A into AP, where rho A is aperture efficiency of the aperture area. Okay, for reflector antennas, the aperture efficiency is merely 80 to 100%, 80 to 90%. Okay, where effective aperture closely equals to physical aperture, as in the case of reflector antennas. Or if you take very large arrays, then this value close to 100%. For small antennas, okay, this value will be approximately 30 to 40%. Okay, in general, AE will be related to AP with the aperture efficiency. If rho A is 100% efficient, if your aperture is 100% efficient, then AE becomes AP. Okay, always practically physical aperture is greater than the effective aperture. Okay, in terms of G, the effective aperture is calculated in this way: lambda square G divided by 4 pi. If I rearrange this equation for AE, we get lambda square G by 4 pi. Okay, for example, if I want to calculate aperture area, effective aperture area for some antennas, if G is known, we can calculate AE. Okay, AE is directly proportional to gain of the antenna. Okay, radiation pattern, which is very important topic. If one speaks about antenna parameter, this will be the major priority. For radiation pattern will take major priority, because this radiation pattern will gives you the graphical representation of the radiation properties of the antenna as a function of spatial coordinates theta and phi. Okay, if you are interested in far field measurement, then we will be having variation of the radiation with respect to theta and phi. Okay, if you are interested in near field radiation pattern, then one more parameter also comes into picture, that is R comma theta comma phi. If you are interested in measuring real radiation pattern of the antenna, then it is normally a far field pattern. Then only we take the variation of the radiation with respect to theta and phi only, because the radiation becomes independent on the distance. If you cross the boundary 2d square by lambda, that is called a far field distance. If your antennas are in far field region, then the field distribution becomes independent on the distance. So in general, the graphical representation of the radiation properties of the antenna as a function of the spatial coordinates theta and phi is the definition for radiation pattern. What are the types of radiation patterns? Okay, based upon the quantifying factor, if you measure power and if you plot with respect to theta and phi, we get power pattern. Okay, if the quantifying factor is field expressed in terms of volts per meter, with the variations of theta and phi, we get field pattern. Okay, both are proportional to each other. Okay, the power pattern equals to the square of the field pattern. Okay, in terms of the nature of the distribution, the pattern may be power pattern or field pattern, is classified into three types. One is isotropic pattern, which radiates energy in all the three planes uniformly, all the directions, the same power. Will have omnidirectional pattern. In any one of the plane we have uniform distribution. And directive pattern, in particular direction the most of the energy is concentrated. So like that there are different types of radiation patterns, and to completely specify the radiation pattern we require some components for the radiation pattern to specify in some of the planes. Okay, if I take in theta plane, in elevation plane, the pattern P of theta comma 0, and in elevation plane, in azimuth plane, P of theta comma phi, the product of both the radiation patterns or power patterns is taken, okay, to completely specify the radiation pattern. And this is an example taken, and this is the pattern produced by a particular reflector antenna, where we have a pencil beam pattern where the energy is more focused in particular direction. This is called main lobe. Okay, also there is a distribution. Okay, before touching a null, again there is a distribution, and this is called vestigial lobe. It's a part of the main lobe only. Okay, and this is our distribution of interest. Okay, some unwanted distributions are also be there, and those distributions are due to side lobes or minor lobes. Okay, we should try to reduce the levels of these side lobes, because sometimes these levels will be act like interference for the detection of the targets. Okay, there are some of the terminologies related to radiation pattern. There is a back lobe, spillover radiation. Okay, there are number of terms which are associated with the radiation pattern, just to show how radiation pattern will be looks like. And one example I have taken from particular reflector antenna, and this is how it is. Okay, and half power beam width is also one of the very major term. With the help of that we can able to judge how directional your antenna is. Okay, if this main beam is very narrow, then the gain value will become very large and directivity becomes very large. Okay, if it is wider, then directivity reduces or gain reduces. Okay, this is plotted in a rectangular plot, because your x-axis is degrees and y-axis is the relative radiation intensity in terms of dB. Okay, the value may be taken in terms of power values or field values, but it is converted into dB. If you take a power values to express in terms of dB, we should take 10 lakh to that value. If the values are recorded from the field meter, then to convert that into dB, then we should take 20 lakh to that value. The significance of side lobe radiation plays a very important role, okay, in shaping the radiation pattern. Particularly in radar applications or whatever the application you take for communication, we should try to avoid as many side lobes as we can. Low side lobes are generally desired for radar applications. Okay, the peak value of the side lobe should be as small as possible. If it is too large, a portion of the radiated energy contained in the side lobes, okay, that results into reduction in the main lobe energy. That should not happen, and in turn it reduces the gain. Okay, try to reduce the effect of the side lobe radiation. It is unwanted, it is not required. We cannot completely reduce the side lobe, but we can control up to certain extent. Okay, if the side lobes are too high, a strong echo signal can enter the receiver. Okay, actually it is not from the actual target, and this appears as a false target. And a high side lobe level which makes jamming of the radar and will interfere with the nearby transmitters. Okay, it is not desirable. Okay, and one better solution for the reduction of the side lobe radiation is, you please take a very high gain antennas. Okay, you can take larger size arrays. A very big array can be taken, thereby we can reduce the side lobe level, because from the array theory we all know that as the array size increases, the number of side lobes increases, but side lobe peak reduces. Okay, high gain antenna is usually necessary to achieve lower side lobes, and which requires antenna to be well structured or constructed so as to maintain a necessary mechanical and electrical tolerances. Okay, if you take a array, how many elements are to be considered, and what should be the feeding or excitation in order to properly shape the main beam. Okay, and how to reduce the side lobes and their peaks so that we can able to satisfy the requirements for radar applications. Okay, this is the definition for side lobe level. Usually the side lobe level is represented in terms of dB. If the values are in voltages, okay, field values, then the pattern is represented in terms of field pattern. If the pattern is field pattern, then side lobe level in terms of dB is given by 20 log to the base 10. It is a ratio of maximum value of the largest side lobe divided by maximum value of the main lobe. You take the main lobe, the maximum value of the main lobe, you take it, okay, and also calculate if there are number of side lobes, in that whichever is maximum, the largest side lobe peak, you take it and take the ratio, and that will give you the side lobe level. If you want to express in terms of dB, take 20 log to that. Okay, side lobe peaks decreases as we increase the size of the array antenna. Okay, instead of using reflectors, and it is desirable to choose very large arrays in order to reduce the effects of the side lobes. What is antenna polarization? The antenna polarization is nothing but it is the direction of the electric field vector. Okay, the orientation of the electric field will give us the polarization of the antenna, because this parameter is very, very important. If the transmitting antenna and the receiving antenna both are with the same polarization, then only we can able to expect maximum power transfer and maximum reception. If there is a polarization mismatch, then there won't be a proper communication. So we should see that whether the antennas are well polarized with the same polarization or not. Okay, if some transmitting antennas are with some polarization and the receiving antenna is with a different polarization, then you cannot establish a proper communication. The amount of information will be lost. Okay, that's why the antenna polarization is also very important parameter, okay, for any communication. Okay, with respect to radar is concerned, some polarization is suited for some applications. Okay, let us define what is antenna polarization. A polarization of the antenna is the polarization of the wave actually, which is radiated in a given direction by the antenna when transmitting. Okay, this term actually speaks with respect to the orientation of the E field vector, electric field vector. Okay, there are different types of polarizations: linear polarization, circular polarization, elliptical polarization. Okay, as the wave propagates, okay, along some direction, okay, what is the behavior of the electric field vector with respect to time? Okay, that will tell you about the antenna polarization or the polarization of the wave. And most radar antennas are linearly polarized. Since it is very easy to achieve a linearly polarized wave rather than a circularly polarized wave or elliptically polarized wave. Okay, if I take a linear polarization, there are two types: vertical and horizontal polarization. Okay, if I take circular polarization, again there are two types: right hand circular polarization, left hand circular polarization. Okay, if I take elliptical polarization, the elliptical polarization is the combination of both linear and the circular polarization. In this elliptical polarization, there is a more degree of freedom, because this type of polarization is often described by something called as the axial ratio, the major axis by minor axis. Okay, the choice between the type of polarization is left to the designer, radar designer or antenna designer. Okay, what application that you wish to develop, based on that you should choose the particular type of polarization. Okay, let us understand what is linear polarization, what is circular polarization, and what is elliptical polarization. Okay, if I define a linear polarization, what is the meaning of that? What is the difference between linear, circular and elliptical? Okay, any wave you take it, a electromagnetic wave, in that I am only picking electric field vector. Okay, and this will vary with respect to either x or y. Okay, so here in this case the electric field vector is propagating along z axis and it is varying with respect to x. Okay, E field will vary either with respect to x axis or y axis. Okay, and it is propagating along z direction. Based upon that, we have two types of polarization. One is vertical linear polarization and this is horizontal linear polarization. As the electric field vector, which is varying with respect to x axis, okay, and it is called as vertical polarization. If the E field vector, it is varying with respect to y axis and it is called as horizontal linear polarization. In the linear polarization, the electric field vector orientation will vary only with respect to one axis, either with respect to x axis or with respect to y axis. If it is varying with respect to x axis, then it is called as vertical linear polarization. If it is varying with respect to y axis, then it is called as horizontal linear polarization. Okay. What is circular polarization? The orientation of the electric field is not linear. When the electric field, when it starts rotating or it revolves with respect to time, okay, then it is called as circular polarization, where the field vectors, okay, which is Ex and Ey, both are having same magnitude, but there will be a phase difference of 90 degree. The circular polarization is achieved by providing two feeds to the antenna which are 90 degree to each other, the phase difference by 90 degree with a perpendicular feed. Okay. The elliptical polarization, okay, it is almost similar to, elliptical polarization is almost similar to circular, but the difference is the two electric vectors, one is Ex and Ey, okay, which are not equals to same. Ex not equals to Ey in the case of elliptical, because of this major axis and minor axis. The electric field vector rotates along this trajectory, okay, with respect to time. It will take different values along x-axis and along y-axis. Okay, there also we have right-handed elliptical polarization and left-handed elliptical polarization. The phase difference will be 90 degree between the two vectors Ey and Ex, and also the magnitudes of Ex and Ey is also not same. But in the case of circular, the magnitude of Ex will be equals to the magnitude of Ey, but there will be a phase difference of 90 degree. In the case of linear, there will be only one variation, either with respect to x-axis or with respect to y-axis. Either you get Ex or Ey. Okay, this is the difference between different types of polarizations. The vertical linear polarization is suited for over water surveillance radar, and horizontal linear polarization is suited for air surveillance radar. Similarly, the circular polarization is used for weather mitigation. Okay, for some applications it is a choice for the radar engineer to choose a particular type of antenna polarization. Okay, that depends upon the importance of the ground reflections. Okay, with this we are going to end this session. Okay, in the next class we are going to talk about aperture type antennas. These are the references, some of the references taken for the presentation. Mainly the radar systems by Skolnick is the referred textbook, and I thank Mr. Robert M. Okay, who is a guest of honor for the guest lecture at IIT New Hampshire section. Okay, the title of the presentation is Radar Systems Engineering Lecture 8 Antenna Part 1. Okay, Basics and Mechanical Scanning. I have referred some slides from this content. Okay, also some of the parameters are taken from the JD Cross textbook, the antennas. Thank you.